right. In this next lesson, we're going to start talking about scatter plots. And so we're going to talk about how to construct and how to interpret the information from a scatter plot. And there's quite a bit of information in here, but that's because I didn't feel like each of these, what were sections in the textbook, needed to be separate sections. So here we go. Let's get started. There's vocab word for you to take, and here's a spot for you to do it. But I'm not going to take the time in the video. We're going to move on. So in that vocab, you talked about what a scatter plot was, and you talked about, or you were supposed to find a few other vocab words. We're going to do this first example, which says, what does the highlighted point on the scatter plot represent? So here's our highlighted point. That's the point 5, 6. And so to figure that out, we want to look at the fact that X is our number of books, right? And Y is how much our bag weighs. And so by knowing that X is book and Y is weight, then I know that the point 5, 6 represents a book bag, backpack, whatever you want to call it, a book bag that contains, so 5 is our X, which is number of books. So it contains 5 books, and because our Y is our weight and weighs, and then so our Y value is 6, weighs 6 pounds. And so that's what that point represents. I could also look at this point here. What is it? 1, 2. And so it's a book bag that has 1 book in it and weighs 2 pounds. I can do that for any of these. The X represents the number of the books, and the Y represents the number of pounds that the book bag weighs. So that's interpreting, or at least our first go at interpreting. Example 2, the scatter plot shows the ages and sleep times of several people. We're going to use the scatter plot to decide whether the statement's true or false. So statement A, 2 people slept for 7 hours. So sleep time is our Y. So I'm going to go to 7 on the Y. That's between the 6 and the 8. And I have 2 dots there for 7. And so, or halfway between 6 and 8. So this would be a true statement. There are 2 people who slept for 7 hours. All right. Statement B, 5 people over the age of that's the key word there, over the age of 12 were in the group. So I'm going to go, age is X value. So I'm going to go to age. Here's 12, and here's 1, 2, 3, 4. So we only had 4 people over the age of 12 in the group. So this one's going to be false. And yes, we had someone who was 12, but it says over the age of 12. All right, C, statement C, everyone in the group slept for at least 6 hours. So I'm going to go to time, sleep time, which is our Y value. I'm going to go to 6. And I want to make sure that every dot is above the 6, because that means that they slept for more than 6 hours. And the answer to that, all these dots are below or above, silly Mrs. Cartwright, above 6. So this is a true statement. And so that's how easy those types of questions are. You're just looking at the X or the Y value that it's giving you, and it's going to tell you like age or the time slept so that you know whether you are going to your X or your Y value. So you just need to look for those keywords that tell you your X or Y. And then you just see, is what they're telling you true or is it false? All right, so we got one more example for this video. we're going to talk about how do we graph a scatter plot. And it really is as simple as here's our t-chart that we've been doing before. So our x, our y. The first thing you should do is label. I already took a graph that was labeled for this, but our x value is temperature degrees Fahrenheit. And our y value is y value suit thickness in millimeters. So that's the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to label the tables or the axes. After that, I'm going to look at the table and I notice that our biggest number is 80 on our x values and our smallest number is 30. And so I don't have to get very big. So I'm going to choose from 0 to 80 counting by tens. That's how I'm going to do this x. So we have 0 in the corner, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and 80. So that's how I'm labeling or deciding my interval for my x values. And then I'm going to look at my y values, and I notice that I have a 1.6, 3.5, so 9.5. So 1.6 is the smallest, and I have several 9.5s, but we don't get bigger than 9.5. So that means that I can go from 0 to 10, and I'm going to count these by ones. And so 0, 1, 2. All right, and so then that's how we label it. From here, these are our coordinate points. So I'm going to go where the temperature is approximately 76, so a little bit more than halfway. And I'm going to go 1.6, so a little bit behind or beyond the halfway point on there also. And then I just keep going. 69 is going to be basically the 70, and I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3. I am going, all of a sudden you're going to see a whole bunch of points pop up because you don't want to sit here and watch me try and graph them all. So I'm going to graph them and then we'll come and talk about them in just a second. I would pause, if I were you, pause and then graph the points yourself. All right, so I went ahead and graphed the points based on the table. Again, our points are the 76, 1.6, the 69, 3, the 64, 5. And so I went through and I graphed those. Again, we are, because it's not, each box doesn't represent one. There is some estimating going on, but we now have a visual representation of what's in the table. And so this gives us an idea of what's clustering together and any trends that we can see. And so that is how you graph a scatter plot. Basically, all it is a list of points that you're throwing on, and these just happen to have meaning because it's the temperature and suit thickness of what scuba divers wear. So we do have more to talk about, so like clusters and associations. So those are in our next videos. I'll see you there, 8th graders.